The Red Sox plans were just leaked, and I absolutely love it. I'm here to break down a brand new article written and published by the one and only Ken Rosenthal on the up-and-coming moves for the Boston Red Sox to conclude what has been a busy offseason. We'll break down all of the new information that we have about this Red Sox team and how Bichette or Alex Bregman should be the absolute next signing for them going forward. We'll break down all of that and how this would be something different for what we've seen through this point in the offseason and how it is the right move for the Red Sox going forward. We'll break down all of that on this episode of Red Sox Digest. But first, please do remember, if you're a part of that percentage currently watching this video, not currently subscribed, scroll down and smash that subscribe button. It's entirely free, and we do appreciate all the love and support. So again, thank you guys for everything. But now let's get to it and break down. Please spend some money. Please, God, please spend some money. John Henry, Craig Breslow, the rest of this Red Sox organization, all of Red Sox Nation just wants you guys to spend a little bit of money. And I know you may be saying, Houston, it's a multi-billion-dollar business. They're obviously spending money. Up to this point in the offseason, they are the only team out of the entirety of the MLB to not sign a free agent. That might seem like hyperbole. It might sound like it's just exaggeration. That's 100% accurate. The Rockies, the Phillies, you name any team in Major League Baseball, they have signed a free agent outside of the Boston Red Sox. Now, up to this point, it now being December 23rd, Merry Christmas, everyone, if you celebrate. They haven't signed anybody via free agency, but they have made 10 different trades this offseason. So yes, the Red Sox have been busy. And yes, they did go out and get Wilson Contreras, who will play next year at first base and be the definitive first baseman for this Red Sox organization for the years coming forth. But there's still a big glaring problem. You haven't signed Alex Bregman, so that means third base is still open and available to be filled, whether that is Meyer in-house or if you go out and make a trade, or are you going to address second base? There's a lot of different questions still surrounding this Red Sox team, and there's a lot of good options still on the market. Granted, the Red Sox and Breslow specifically have missed out on a lot of the big names that we started this offseason talking about in connections to this Red Sox organization, specifically Pete Alonso, who went to a in-division rival in the Baltimore Orioles. Why? Because the Red Sox failed to commit to Pete Alonso, just like we've seen in years past with other big-name free agents. Kyle Schwarber, another big name, went right back to Philadelphia because he got absolutely paid, and we all knew there was a good chance that Breslow, John Henry, and the rest of this organization in Boston were not going to go out there and spend money, at least at $30 million AAV that Kyle Schwarber was going to end up getting, because that's who Schwarber is, and he's well deserving of it. But we know the Red Sox, and specifically Craig Breslow, are not going to commit $30 million plus annually per year for the next 5-6 years to a DH, someone who is not going to play a lick of defensive baseball. So, who is left, and who could the Red Sox go out and acquire via free agency, not a trade, to conclude this offseason that would make it impactful and one that would push the needle even more? And I'm here to tell you there's two names you've heard me scream about over and over again on this channel. One of them we all know and love because we watched him play here last year in Fenway for his first time outside of a Houston Astros jersey, and that was Alex Bregman. And the other option is Bichette. Now, I'm a big fan of Bichette in a Red Sox jersey. The reason being, he is much younger than Alex Bregman. I think that is a huge positive. Also, he hit really well last year, not only in the sense of pop and hitting the ball over the fence, but he hit .311 in the sense of average. He did a damn good job to get on base. He didn't strike out at the craziest rate, at least to the rate where it wasn't something that was catastrophic. The biggest flaw with Bichette is the defensive abilities, or really the lack thereof of abilities at shortstop. The best thing about that is, and the devil's advocate to that conversation and debate, is the fact that Bichette, if acquired by this Boston Red Sox organization, would not be playing much shortstop at all. He would either be playing third base or second base, something that has been made abundantly clear publicly that he is willing to do. And he has told these teams via free agency that he's in communications with that he is willing and open to playing second base and moving from shortstop to second base, which would be massive for the Boston Red Sox outside of third base. I know that is still a conversation, but Meyer is still in-house and very available to play third base. We saw him do it last year when Bregman went out for a period of time with the hamstring injury / quad injury, if you will. So you have Story at shortstop, you have Meyer at third, and then at second base you could have Bichette, someone who could have some pressure taken off of him rather than playing shortstop. And again, it is still in the infield up the middle. It is a very tough position to play defensively, especially at the major league level. But again, he's been in the infield for a long time. He's a very athletic young specimen, and he has the abilities and tools to go out there and be effective at the second base position. Now, let's get to the actual article before I can just continue rambling on about how great Bichette is and how good of an option both of these candidates are. So Ken Rosenthal posts this article, which I will tag down below if you'd like to read the entirety of it. Again, Rosenthal's on a heater every time he puts anything pen to paper. The Red Sox have created a financial path for a big move. Alex Bregman should be their first choice. And here's the column. If you click on the photo of Alex Bregman looking like an absolute stud there, it takes you to the article, as we all know. And it goes on to say, the Red Sox will have no excuses if they fail to re-sign free agent third baseman Alex Bregman. And they will need to pivot quickly and dramatically if Bregman lands with another club. Both the Blue Jays and the Diamondbacks have emerged as legitimate suitors for Bregman, according to sources briefed on the discussions. Other clubs, including the Chicago Cubs, also are said to be involved. So, just like last season, when the Red Sox were playing a major game of chicken with Alex Bregman and other teams like the Kansas City Royals and the Detroit Tigers, there are multiple big names in on Alex Bregman for obvious reason. Obviously, the bat was not up to the level everyone hoped for all throughout the year, as consistent as everyone hoping for, but again, he was very good, and the stuff that isn't measured in the sense of underlying metrics was even more impactful. You've heard me speak about this over and over and over again. Bregman as a coach and as a role model and as a teacher in the clubhouse is unvaluable. You cannot put a number next to that because of how impactful he really is, not only to other position players, but specifically catchers, starting pitchers, or really pitchers of all brands, as well as just these young guys who haven't been in the league for that long. Campbell, Meyer, Anthony, the list goes on of notable young talent. Narvaez, Tolley, Early. All of these guys are spring chickens in the league. Bregman is going into his, 10th, 11th season in the league, and he is such a good role model and teacher, despite the overall numbers, and specifically the offensive numbers not being up to the par in which everyone was hoping to see throughout the entirety of last season. He still remained and maintained such a high value because of the stuff he was doing off of the diamond and the leadership aspect. So we continue through this article. Where are we? Right here. The answer for the Red Sox is Bregman. If not him, Bichette. In the way Breslow has operated this offseason, making one economically shrewd move after another, the Sox are in a perfect position to strike. They have the money. It's time to spend it. I could read that quote, the last quote, they have money, time to spend it, a million times, and I still wouldn't feel like the message was put across. I feel like that. Every move that Breslow makes is it's the farthest thing from what anyone anticipates. There's a lucrative amount of very, very talented guys, and specifically bats on the open market that don't require any form of assets to be given up in the sense of a trade, and despite that, Breslow goes in the complete total operation. Now, I'm not going to complain that they went out and acquired guys like Wilson Contreras and others, because I think they are going to push the needle, and I think that is a good acquisition by the Red Sox. But again, you gave up a lot of that depth and a lot of that farm system in those minor league arms and players because you failed to go out there and spend hard-earned money. It's just something you have to take into account. Now, we continue. We're talking then about two relative bargains as long as Contreras and Gray are reasonably productive. Oviedo, if he pitches, say, 120 league average innings in his first full season coming off Tommy John surgery in November of 23, will qualify as a third. So Rosenthal pointing out the three acquisitions, all obviously made by trade, the headline trades, if you will, and Contreras, Sonny Gray, and Johan Oviedo from the Pirates are all considered bargains. Obviously, the two guys coming from the St. Louis Cardinals had money coming with them. Sonny Gray had $20 million attached. Wilson Contreras had $8 million, I believe, attached to him as well. So you got $28 million attached to each of, or not each, but to both of those players in collective. So you took money off of your own books because it was money attached and given to you by the organization giving you those players. And then obviously Oviedo, they pay a very, very small amount to him because I believe he's still in arbitration. So the sense of financial impact of the players acquired via trade this offseason is minimal. And also, before we get to the rest of this quote, they just sold the Pittsburgh Penguins. They just sold this team for almost $2 billion. $2 billion. I understand. Oh, they only made $800,000 in profit or whatever. They just sold a professional sports team for almost $2 billion, and you haven't spent a single dollar in free agency this offseason while the Orioles are spending, getting better, while the Blue Jays are spending and getting better. The only other team in the division that hasn't really done anything are the New York Yankees. The Rays have gotten better. They're making trades. They're signing free agents. They're doing the thing. They're trying to load up and put themselves in a position, if they're not competitive this up and coming season, for the years coming forward. The only other team that hasn't gotten progressively better this offseason are the New York Yankees. And it's only a matter of time before they start stroking checks and they add a bunch of just artillery to that team and they turn into a powerhouse in a matter of a few days. So, to conclude this video, after my long rants. The first one, we're going to go back to this quote. Bregman is projected by The Athletic, Tim Burton, to receive a 6-year, $171 million contract. His leadership makes his value greater than the sum of his offense and defense. His impact on the Red Sox last season was transformative, even though he missed nearly 7 weeks due to a strained right quad. This is all stuff we addressed earlier in this video. If you watched any Boston Red Sox baseball last season, I mean a minimal amount, you know the impact of Alex Bregman. No way around it. It's specifically the leadership aspect. But then you turn to the other option. You have to take into account Bregman is what? Bregman is 31 years of age, okay? He's 31, and this is the offensive year he came off of. Yes, he absolutely feasted in Fenway Park. Feasted doesn't really sound like a word, but we're going to roll with it. He absolutely dominated in Fenway. Look at his spray chart. Absolutely dominating and ripping balls on the pull side as a right-handed batter to the Green Monster side in left field. That's great. And obviously, he's one of the few players, one of like two players on this entire Red Sox team that the bottom of this really batting chart, batting underlying metrics, if you will, look this way. He didn't strike out. He walked a lot. He didn't chase. He didn't whiff. He didn't strike out. He walked a lot. It was awesome. And he was very different on the Red Sox team because of those numbers. But if you look at things like expected WOBA, batting average, slug, average exit velocity, barrel percentage, squared up rate, these things are far below, if not just at league average. Then we get to Bichette. They could turn around and sign Bichette, the younger player who Britain projects to receive an 8-year, $212 million contract. And if they play Bichette at second, perhaps they would be more comfortable installing Meyer at third. So again, Bichette at second, Meyer goes to third, Story at short, Contreras at first. You have Narvaez behind the plate. You have Roman DHing mixed with possibly Yoshida or Casas, depending on the situation that the Red Sox find themselves in. Once that season officially starts, we can assume it'd most likely be Yoshida, unless there's a monster trade in the outfield where they go out and acquire another pitcher by giving up Duran or Abreu. Maybe Roman is going to be a part-time DH along with Masataka Yoshida, unless they can find a trade partner for him as well. Again, there are a lot of moving parts, but the biggest piece of this puzzle is without a doubt the conversation in the infield surrounding third/second base. Shortstop is occupied, we know that. But if the Red Sox do not acquire at least someone who can play second base or third base for that matter, assuming if they acquire Bregman, he'd play third, and again, Meyer would still be in-house, and he would be the second baseman. If they acquire Bichette, he could be the second baseman, Story at second, Bichette at second, Story at shortstop, and then Meyer would be at third, and Bregman would find himself on another team. Both of those options are very real, but one of them has to happen and soon, because if Bichette goes back to the Toronto Blue Jays or the New York Yankees, you're going to see me on this on a next video, and I'm going to be breaking things and spiking chairs, and I'm going to be losing my mind. I really and truly am. If I have to watch another major free agent in connections to the Boston Red Sox this offseason land to an in-division rival, I'm going to crash out. And I'm I'm so serious. I cannot do it again. It just keeps happening over and over and over again. So again, let's see how this ends up shaking out for the Boston Red Sox. There's a lot of moving parts. I would love to know down below, who would you rather have, Bichette or Alex Bregman? And I will see you guys on the next episode of Red Sox Digest.